are stories that, at first glance, seem simple. Yet within their simplicity, they carry profound truths about the way we live and the choices we make. Today, let's reflect on one such story, a tale of a proud rooster, a metal cage, and a paradox that, while amusing, is deeply real. Once upon a time, in a small farm nestled in the countryside, there lived a rooster who was the pride of his flock. He was a magnificent bird, bright feathers catching the sunlight, a stately comb, and a crow that announced the dawn to every corner of the farm. He strutted across the yard with confidence, revered by the hens and respected by the other animals. One day, the farmer brought home a large iron cage and placed it in the middle of the yard. Its purpose was not announced, and its bars gleamed in the sun. Curiosity, that age-old impulse, got the better of the rooster. He hopped inside, eager to inspect this strange new addition to his world. But as soon as he entered, the door fell shut with a clang. In an instant, the rooster was seized by panic. He flapped his wings, beating wildly against the bars. He pecked and scratched, desperate for escape. But the cage held firm. No matter how he tried, he could not break free. There was no one nearby, just him, the cold metal, and a growing sense of fear. But then something changed. After hours of struggling, the rooster's frenzy gave way to fatigue, and then to a strange calm. He sat quietly, catching his breath, and looked around. The world outside continued as usual, but in his small enclosure, time felt different. He began to reason with himself. Well, this isn't so bad, he thought. In here I don't have to worry about the farm dog chasing me. There's no need to fight with the other roosters over food. No rain, no wind, just peace and safety. The first day, he wondered why the farmer had left him alone. By the second day, he grew accustomed to the quiet. By the third day, when the farmer returned and opened the cage door, the rooster did something unexpected. He stayed where he was, refusing to leave the safety of the cage. The farmer laughed gently, shaking his head in disbelief. I only wanted you to see what it feels like to be caged, he said. But I never thought you'd prefer the cage to your freedom. It's a funny story, isn't it? The proud rooster, so full of spirit, now content to stay behind bars. But if we pause for a moment, we might see ourselves mirrored in his tale. We, too, have been given the gift of freedom. The freedom to live, to love, to choose what is good and right. The freedom to follow a higher calling, even when the path is difficult or uncertain. Yet, how often do we, like the rooster, step into cages of our own making? Sometimes, our cages are built from habits so familiar we hardly notice them. Other times, fear is the architect. Fear of failing, fear of being hurt, fear of the unknown. Selfishness, too, can build walls around us, convincing us that it's safer to keep our hearts closed and our world small. Or perhaps it's the comfort of routine, the lure of a life without risk, that persuades us to stay put. We settle into these cages, telling ourselves that they protect us. We avoid the pain of conflict, the effort of change, the vulnerability of forgiveness or love. The outside world may still call to us, but the longer we stay behind our self-imposed bars, the harder it is to imagine stepping out. And then, when the moment comes, when the door is opened and freedom is within reach, we find that we are no longer sure we want it. The cage feels safer, more predictable. It's easier to stay put than to face the uncertainty of the open yard. Yet, this is not what we were created for. We were not born to be caged by fear, by past failures, by guilt, or by apathy. There is a deeper truth, one that echoes through the ages. The truth will set you free. These words remind us that freedom is not found in hiding from life, but in embracing it with open arms. We are called to live in the light, to act with integrity and courage. We are given wings, not to fold them away, but to stretch them, to rise above the things that confine us. Even if we have stumbled, even if we find ourselves trapped by regret or pain, the door to freedom is always open. It only takes a step, a decision to trust, to forgive, to try again. Perhaps you too have found yourself in a cage. Maybe it's the cage of a past mistake, or the memory of a hurt that never healed. Perhaps it's the cage of routine, of living each day just as the last, never daring to hope for more. Or maybe it's the quiet prison of fear, whispering that you are not enough, that you cannot change. But today, you are invited to take a step toward freedom. You are not required to soar to the highest heights right away. Sometimes, the bravest thing is simply to stand, to move a little closer to the open door, and to believe that you are not alone. The promise remains, do not be afraid, I am with you. With each step, trust grows. With each act of courage, the world outside the cage becomes a little less frightening, a little more inviting. And in time, you may look back and see that the cage was never locked at all. So, what is holding you back? What cage have you grown accustomed to, even though the door is open? Today, you are invited to rise, to step into the light, to claim the freedom that is yours. It may not be easy, and it may take time, but you are not alone. With faith, with trust, and with the courage to take that first step, you will discover that true freedom is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of hope. A hope that lifts you up, carries you forward, and gives you wings to fly.